what we've discovered is we have a lot of credit card people that are coming into the point of sale industry. Aldelo is a point of sale company first, and then we do payments as well. But our true roots go back to our point of sale days. The company is 22 years old or something now at this point. So we have a great long history of point of sale. We got into the processing business several years ago and now do that jointly with our Aldelo Pay product, as well as we have a lot of partners that have come into our referral partner program from the credit card industry. But these partners, not all of them understand the shifts in the industry, how things have progressed, how things have changed over time. So this today, we're going to talk about some of the shifts in the industry. So let's talk about some historical shifts in the industry. And I'm showing you an old cash register from the 1800s, because that's when the cash registers were invented. They were invented by a gentleman named Patterson, Stanley Patterson. He did it to stop theft in employee theft in family-run businesses. What they found was that the family was stealing from each other. So that he invented cash registers to just keep the money safe. Thing was, they were basic. They had no department sales, no sales tax, and they were hand cranked. They really had no update to these for decades. They were the essential basics, and they did stay the same for the majority of those decades. Next came up to what's called the Electro Mechanical. They came about after World War II. And basically all they did was just add a motor. And they added a motor to drive the gears. What's inside one of these looks like a bunch of bicycle gears lined up side by side. And the electric motor just turned those gears. They really didn't have much in the way of features. They had 4 to 8 departments, and that was about it. There was no sales tax calculation whatsoever. And they had no real changes until the 1980s. And when I say no sales tax calculation, there was still sales tax, but you had to look at a chart to see the total amount of the sale, find the sale amount, and then you'd see what charge you had to do, how much sales tax you had to add to the sale. It was total manual with regard to that. This didn't change for a while. Next came up what's called the data terminal systems. DTS was the first electronic POS. And they came about in the 1970s. I had a hard time finding a picture. This is DTS, looks like a 521. It was the retail version. They had a retail version, they had a restaurant version, and they had a grocery version. And you would change the type of register it is by changing out the main board. So you had a network board for communications, you had a main board for the type of register, and then you'd have a RAM board for additional RAM to hold the PLU file. So this was a big step forward in the point of sale industry. In fact, this probably was the first true point of sale device. It obviously calculated sales tax and had multiple departments. It had really good reporting, and it was just a staple of the POS industry. Probably, like I said, probably the first true point of sale device. It had programming commands that you could do. They were called macros, and you wrote them in a language was proprietary to this device. It truly revolutionized, if not itself started, the point of sale industry. Other companies then mimicked what DTS had done and came up with their own electronic version. Then in the 1980s, a company called Squirrel invented the touchscreen. This touchscreen at that time, I couldn't find a true picture of it. It was not color as this picture shows here. It was more of a green and white screen. It was a very square buttons, but nonetheless, it was a touch screen. It was very popular with high-end restaurants. It was the system to have, and it generated and created a whole new type of point of sale system. The initial models were proprietary operating systems, proprietary networks, and proprietary hardware. Even though this micro system here, the 2700, it had its own operating system, its own network. The printer hardware were Epson printers, but they changed them to be proprietary. So everything about this system was a proprietary touchscreen system. It had its own network. It obviously, the sales tax modifiers, it took a leap forward with regard to flexibility for restaurants. This led into the Windows era. The Windows gained popularity because they had a lot of colors. It was great looking screens, logos, graphics, those things that really enhanced the point of sale look and feel, made it much easier for servers. This was quickly adopted into the industry. They also had their own networking. So you had the Windows networking using Ethernet, this more of a standard type of configuration. Restaurants then slowly transitioned from the proprietary systems into the Windows-based systems, and you had then the creation of multiple companies, multiple different platforms, all using the Windows as their operating system. So what's happened then? You've had some historical shifts that have now transitioned into tablet POS. So tablet adoption rather has been tremendous in this industry. It has shifted away from Windows, primarily Apple and Android devices, and it is currently the hottest trend in point of sale. And that is where we are today. We got there because change is a part of life. And the industry, this POS industry has been evolving. So start off with the old hand crank cash register. You don't see these anymore, not unless you're in a museum or maybe in a movie or in some kind of historical landmark. They transitioned away from this over 100 years ago. Then you found yourself with the electromechanicals. You might see a few of these, but they're very rare. They probably don't work anymore. Those gears just didn't last. They wore out after a while. And from there, it transitioned into DTS and the electronic cash registers. Very few of these are in the field anymore either. They've been replaced. And what they replaced with were touchscreens. Initially were the proprietary systems, but those faded away with popularity, and along came the Windows systems. And those had been the dominant systems up until recently. And they too are starting to fade from popularity. They're not gone away yet, but they're fading away, and they're giving way to tablet POS, which is where we are today. The point to all this is, if you're not changing with the system, you're not changing with the industry, then you're going to get left behind and you're going to fade away, just like the old systems are fading away or gone completely. So what's next? I don't know. But we are going to be on the lookout for that next transition, because it's going to happen. At some point, we're going to transition away from tablets to something else. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen, and you have to be ready for it. So let's talk about some myths that some people believe. We get calls from referral partners, and they say, my customers don't want to change to a tablet POS. My customers want to stay with Windows. My customers like what they're doing right now. But yet we still also hear, I'm losing customers to fill in the blank for a tablet POS system. So in one instance, in one breath, they're saying, my customers don't want to change. And then the next day, their customers are going to change. They're changing to a tablet POS system. I don't think that you're as in touch with your customers as you believe. I believe that those customers will change eventually, may not change all at once, but they're going to change because they have to in order to stay current with their competition. If their competition is changing and getting an advantage through technology, then that Windows customer has to change to keep up with the times. Don't be like that guy who doesn't have time for a salesperson. I think we've seen this cartoon before where the gentleman riding out on his horse to fight a battle with his swords doesn't have time to talk to a salesman with the most up-to-date technology. Don't let your customers be that. Help your customers stay current. You want to be a salesperson and not an order taker. In this cartoon, it says order taker versus order creator. Maybe that's a better term. Maybe you need to create the order. So take charge of your career and start selling. Be a salesperson. Be an order creator, not an order taker, waiting on your customer to call you to say, hey, would you come take my money? No, you need to go out and start pulling doors to find prospects. You need to ask questions to generate interest in what we have to offer. Give prospects a reason to change. Help them understand what the technology will do for them to get them away from their current system that may not be doing them as much good as the new system. And then you present solutions to the problems that they're having with their business. And they're having problems. Every business has problems. Most of those problems can be solved through technology. And we have the technology that addresses the problems of a restaurant. You just need to pull the door to find the prospect, build the relationship, ask the questions, generate their interest, find the reason to have them change, and then present that solution to them. Be a salesperson and not an order taker. So now we're going to pause for questions about changes to the industry, as well as what you can do to help your customer transition from Windows to the cloud. Yeah, Douglas, last year we did do a webinar on top questions to ask a merchant. And that video and that webinar is still relevant. It is still relevant. You can take those list of questions that are in that video. In fact, I think we converted that to a PDF and sent that out. And we can do that again. But those are questions you can sit there and have a conversation with that merchant. So have a conversation with that restaurant owner, and some of those questions will actually pique their interest. You can ask that question or ask one of those questions, and they may respond to you with, your system can do that? Your system can help me control that? And that then gives you the ability and the option to just help them solve their problem. That's what we do with our system. All right, is that Android POS system shown? Okay, the Android system is now also Aldelo Express. So Aldelo Express runs on Apple or Android POS, Android tablet, Android phone, and Android tablet. So tablet, phone, and the handheld. The Android tablet is and all those devices are a native app running in the Android operating system. You can get those from the Android or the Google Play Store. So they are a native app to Android. All right, so with regard to getting out, shaking hands, and asking questions, what I'll do is I'll have Chelsea and Kelly send out that PDF again to the people on the call. But we need you guys to get out and be salespeople. And I hope I'm not stepping on toes, but then again, I'm not sorry if I am. I'm trying to help you guys be better business people. And you need to not be an order taker, you need to be a salesperson.